Hey guys, it's Justine here from I Should Read That, and today I am bringing you a book review of The Unlikely Escape of Uriah Heep by H.G. Parry. This book, I believe, may already be out in maybe the US, but in the UK it comes out on the 23rd of January 2020 from Orbit Books, and I was so thrilled to receive a copy of this book for review. Before we get started, I just really quickly want to say the usual disclaimers. I did, as I said, receive a copy of this book from the publisher in exchange for an honest review. However, that does not impact my opinions on this book whatsoever. Also, this is going to be a spoiler-free review, so let's get started. The Unlikely Escape of Uriah Heep follows two brothers, Rob and Charlie, in Wellington, New Zealand. Now, Rob is kind of our main point of view character, and he's a very ordinary guy. He's a lawyer, he has a wife, he has a nice house, all of this. He's very ordinary life. However, he does have a little bit of a secret. So his brother Charlie, who's very much kind of a child prodigy, he went to Oxford at the age of 13, he is now a very young professor at the University of Wellington, has this amazing ability to pull book characters out of books and bring them into real life with mixed effect, shall we say. So Rob and his family have always been kind of uncomfortable with this power of Charlie's because it wreaks havoc on everything, and it's something that if others find out about it could have really disastrous consequences for Charlie. Charlie sort of isn't necessarily the most careful when it comes to using this power, so it's something that he and Rob have really butted heads about in the past. At the point when this book starts, they realize that there is someone else in Wellington who also has this power and is bringing these characters out of books for nefarious purposes, so they have to go ahead and find them and stop them. This is very much a book for book lovers. This is one of those books that's about books, and I think that although a lot of this book has references to Victorian fiction, Charlie is a Dickens scholar and he loves Charles Dickens. I think that you don't need to have read a lot of those books or a lot of classics in order to really enjoy this book. Personally, I did study Victorian literature. It's what I got my degree in when I was at university for my undergraduate degree. And therefore it did have kind of like an extra impact because I've read a fair few of these books. However, I think that as long as you're someone who loves books and the power of reading, you will really enjoy this because that is what this is really all about. To kind of sum it up in just one word, I'd say this book is really charming. It's absolutely lovely. It's one of those books that if you think of, I just need something to kind of be a comforting read, or, you know, maybe you've had a bad day, or you just want to read something that's a good book. This is the perfect thing to kind of curl up with on the sofa on a rainy day and just completely lose yourself in, because the way that she writes and the passion with which she writes really draws the reader in, and I can just so understand where she's coming from with her love of these characters, because it's very obvious that she loves literature and she loves Victorian literature and she loves books. I feel like it really translates on the page really well, and the reader can definitely feel that. So this book is really funny in addition to being really charming. I think the dialogue is really smart, and a lot of the kind of humor and some of the sort of nerdy jokes in it are just wonderful, and I don't want to give any of them away, but there were a couple of parts in this book that just had me absolutely cackling and giggling, and it was such a delight to read. I just had an absolute blast. Now, that's not to say that this book doesn't also have its very serious themes. One of the kind of main overarching themes in this book, and I feel like what this book at the core really is about, are these complex relationships between family members and especially between brothers, because this is all about how Rob and Charlie kind of interact and how those interactions and the way they've grown up together and the events of their past have led them to these particular points, into these particular decisions. So I thought that having Rob be the narrator of the book, where maybe Charlie would have been the more obvious choice because he's sort of not the chosen one, but he's the special one, you know, he's the magic one, and Rob is the one that doesn't have this magic. I thought that that was such an incredibly wise decision that took a good book to something that was really great and fantastic, because Rob isn't necessarily, I think, the nicest to his brother at times. He can be a little bit of a bully, and we find out a little bit about their past and some of the things that has happened between the two of them, and you get Rob's side of the story, and it really helps you understand what's going on in his head. You can really see how much he loves his brother and how important his brother is to him, despite some of the things that he is saying and he's doing. Because you understand his motivations, you really get a better understanding of what's happening in this book. I really love Charlie. Charlie was amazing, and I think particularly as a younger sibling who definitely, I call it, had younger sibling syndrome when I was a kid. I did everything that my older sister did. I followed her around everywhere. I absolutely worshipped her. I really get Charlie, and I really loved him in this book. He's just such a wonderful character, and all of his kind of ridiculousness and squishiness and maybe a slight absent-mindedness, he's just lovely. And I love the way the two of them interacted and bounced off of each other, but also how their understanding of each other grew over the course of the book. It was such a wonderful thing to see. I love sibling relationships in books. I'm usually all about the sister relationships because I don't have a brother, I have a sister. But lately I have been reading a lot of books that have relationships between brothers, and I'm absolutely loving them so much. This is definitely one of them. I loved The Unlikely Escape of Uriah Heep. It was so fun. And it was so charming, and I had an absolute blast watching her bring these characters to life, whether I knew them or not, whether I've read their books or not. And for the ones that I do know, because I have read the books that they are from, she really did an amazing job of capturing each author's voice and really bringing those characters to life in a way that felt incredibly realistic. So again, you don't have to love classics, you don't have to love Dickens, you don't have to love the Victorians in order to appreciate this book. There is something for everyone in this. If you love books, I really, really think that you should give this a try. I gave The Unlikely Escape of Uriah Heep 4.5 out of 5 stars. It was so much fun. I absolutely adored it, and I cannot wait to read what she comes out with next. So that is it for this review. I would love to know in the comments below if you have read this book, if you've heard about this book, maybe if it's in your TBR, or if you have a particular character that you would love to pull out of a book and bring to life. I post bookish content to this channel fairly frequently, so go ahead and hit subscribe, check back soon, and I will see you next time.